Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. This is Two Catholic Dudes. My name is Ryan Klaus.
My name is Danny Cleary.
And as always, we're not priests, we're not theologians, we're just two Catholic dudes, and we're talking about our faith.
And today on the podcast, we are doing the topic of youth ministry, but with all the distancing that we have to do currently with the state of the world.
That's right. Clever name to be determined. I'll try to come up with something when I'm editing. But yeah, we haven't really talked about youth ministry much since like episode 4. But
that was like about retreats,
right?
Like we haven't had like a youth ministry episode, which is crazy because that's like my whole profession.
Like your thing. And we've only it's funny, we've talked about so many different things, but I'm a musician and we've only talked about like one primary episode about music and then like a little bit. So anyways, we got the episode about youth ministry, but yeah, specifically what can we do during this time of quarantine? COVID-19. It's all we're talking about right now. This is week 4 talking about coronavirus.
Yeah, and I think that like a lot of people are saying, "Oh, we can't really like everyone's sick of hearing about it," which is maybe true. But I think that we're going to look back on this and think about like this time and look at how it affected us. You know, this is kind of like a journal for us too on the podcast to like go back and like look at when we started this podcast, what we went through that first year.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's sorry, I'm trying to get this mic situation. This mic is like so heavy it just falls the whole time I'm podcasting. Ugh, first world problems, right? Yeah, we want to talk about, again, how to be proactive during this. I'm just going to leave this. We're going to be proactive during this. You guys can't meet, but there's plenty of things you can do online. So anyways, we'll get into that, but let's catch up real quick. We've been like podcasting pretty late in the week. It's 3 weeks in a row. I think that we did Sunday podcast.
I know it's insane too because it's not like we're super busy during the week, but we still are waiting till the last minute.
I'm like busier than ever during this quarantine for some weird reason. Like all these video projects keep getting put on me, which is cool because I'm learning more skills and more video production skills that I can share with the world. But I've been doing, finally my pastor said, let's start doing live masses. And then I was like, I opened my big mouth and I'm like, oh, well, let's do some other stuff too. Cause I have all this camera and all this gear and the know-how. So I did like a quick little video on the prayer of St. Anthony. Cause that's our patron saint of our church. And that was a huge undertaking. And then I did like a message of hope from our pastor and then a gospel reflection. So I've been editing those all week. And then the retreat center that puts me up here, they wanted to do a video as well for the Divine Mercy Sunday, which is today. So I spent like 2 whole days of my life putting together this video. It's a Spanish video. They wanted to reach out to their Spanish ministry or their Spanish demographic. And so we did the Chaplet of Divine Mercy in Spanish I overlaid all kinds of music and video images still in slow motion shots. But it's just been like a bear, all these projects coming on. But it's good. I love it. I wouldn't have it in any other way. Yeah,
that's awesome. And I'm so glad that you are getting a chance to kind of use those talents to help your church. Because I remember I was kind of like, man, I thought you kind of getting a missed opportunity because I know the ability that you have. And if you haven't yet, check out the videos that Ryan made. I think they're on his Facebook.
Yeah, they're on my Facebook, and I posted the first one, the prayer to St. Anthony, on my personal Instagram.
Nice.
If you guys want, we could post it on ours. I just didn't like
it's really well shot. It's a beautiful prayer.
It was just a little off-brand for us.
Yeah, but I particularly like it because St. Anthony is my confirmation saint, so I was into it. I was like, yeah, this is cool.
So anyways, it might be kind of hard to find on social media, but if you pray to St. Anthony, you might be able to find it.
Hey.
Okay.
Isn't it on your YouTube channel where all these podcasts are?
No, it's on...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's on like the Facebook page for our parish.
Okay.
Anyways, and then today we did our first live stream mass at my parish.
Awesome.
It was a little low tech for what I'm used to. It was just with the phone, with the cell phone. But you know what? It didn't look horrible, and it didn't sound
Welcome
horrible.
to my world.
I know. But it didn't matter, and that's what we talked about last week and the week before, and probably the week before, is that people wanted to connect with their parish, see their pastor leading them during this time, and we had over 200 people watching for our very first stream, and seeing all the hearts pop up there and all the peace be with yous, and it was great. It was wonderful.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, and I think that a lot of times, and some of these churches have tons of production value, and they've poured a lot of money into these live cameras and lighting and stuff. And I trust me, we're big advocates on make your production value good, but there is, I think, a line right now with these masses where if you're a small parish community, people want the intimacy of their parish and the familiarity of their parish. So don't be too discouraged if you're like, I can't really do this because I only have my cell phone. And don't be afraid to use your cell phone. We've talked about it before, is things will continue to elevate.
That's right.
Week one, I had just my phone, and then today we had a 3-person operation. I had someone in charge of the comments. I had somebody in charge of sound. I was in charge of visuals. So it's, it grows.
Yeah, exactly. And that's right. It's just start somewhere, because if you worry about trying to be perfect right off the bat, you're not going to do anything, and that's going to do no one a service. So
yeah, just do it.
Just do it. What would Shia LaBeouf do?
Yeah. So anyways, speaking of getting out there and just doing stuff, we want to talk a little bit about youth ministry, because youth ministry is something that's really, I think, more important than ever before during this time. And that's, I may be biased since I'm a professional youth minister, and that's my job to do during this time as well. But our young people are struggling, let me tell you, during this quarantine.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them, their whole school year, I was talking with some of them we do virtual youth ministry nights on Zoom, and a lot of them were sharing that they've never wanted to go back to school so bad. A lot of them
crazy.
were like, I'll never wish that school got canceled ever again. So it's
interesting to hear that, because I feel like you're on the front lines of that front of the high school. You're being a youth minister, but yeah. I feel a bit disconnected from that demographic, that age range. And during this whole pandemic, I've been doing my thing, but I haven't really heard much or seen much about what that group is going through. So it's interesting to hear that.
Yeah, it's a lot of them are just the biggest thing is we don't realize, we've talked a lot about on the podcast how we are a virtual society a lot of the times, how we struggle with in-person contacts and actually communicating with people because everybody's so absorbed in their technology. And now all we have is our technology, and it's that human interaction, that face-to-face, that personal, that being able to hug somebody. That's what's gone, and that's what people are craving more than anything. Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot of I'm in the wrestling world, just like I'm in the ministry world, and I've seen a lot of my big tub wrestler friends that have posted on Facebook these memes about all my friends better get ready for the biggest hugs of their life when I see them. And it's beautiful that people are missing that interaction with each other. But I think with young people, it's especially difficult because these are formative years of their life, and especially for the seniors who their graduations, their proms, their celebrating where they got accepted to college, all that stuff kind of got for some of it completely taken away, but for other things completely altered in a different way. Yeah,
they're still going to graduate high school, but they're not going to get to go through all the amazing things you do in that last month, whether the senior picnic or the yearbooks and the whole ceremony.
Just being with that group of people that you've been with for 12 years for a lot of them.
One last time. Yeah. Because they're a lot of them are I don't think I'm going to see a lot of these people ever again. And it was just and you usually get to say goodbye at the end of that whole process. But that's rough. I can't imagine.
Yeah. And it's just such a challenge that, these poor kids are dealing with. But what my job is, and what I think all of the jobs of the youth ministers, is to give them hope. We have to remain hopeful and pray for them, obviously be sounding boards for them, but not only that, but provide avenues for them to encounter God during this time.
That's right.
So I figure we could just dive into some of the ways. I'll just share some of the stuff I'm doing. If there's anybody watching this that is in youth ministry or is involved with youth ministry, please feel free to use any of this stuff that I'm going to talk about today. And a lot of it as well is stuff that I'm using from friends of mine. So it's, we just wanted to dive into it.
And that's the beauty of youth ministry. When once you get out of your particular little box, so many people just like they're like, I'm at my parish, I'm good here, this is all I've ever known, but like they don't know any of their neighboring youth ministers, they don't like interact with the other church activities and stuff, but like you're all over there and every youth minister, you go to all the deanery meetings, you help run all the summer camps, which unfortunately have been canceled this year, but like but you're so involved that you end up taking you see an activity happen somewhere else, and then you apply that to your program. You might alter it somehow, but they end up it's this big communal sharing of activities, of ideas, and that's how you cultivate that growth in what you do, and you start to elevate the game instead of just being a stagnant program that's just like it's like, oh, okay, the old kids are gone, you got the new kids in, we're going to do the same thing over and over, but it should be always evolving and growing, and that's what I love about how you guys do things there.
Thank you, man. Yeah, and I have to say, the big benefit to it that I have, especially now during this time, is our regional director for the Archdiocese in LA. Her name is Kelly. She's our representative for our region here in the diocese. She has done a weekly gathering of youth ministers via web chat. So there's like 20 of us that get together, share ideas, pray for each other, just kind of chat and catch up and see how things are going. And that's everyone's chance to kind of share ideas and stuff with each other. And it's just been really awesome for everybody because, especially people like, we have meetings, like every couple of weeks, but not everyone gets to go to those because of impending schedules, but now it's good to see everybody online together and sharing ideas. We're all fighting the same battle, trying to help teens encounter God. Yeah.
So it's usually like, I don't know, like 7 people at those meetings when you're in person. Yeah. And so now there's 20, you said?
20 to 25 people.
But probably about the same number of pants, though.
Oh, jeez. I hope so.
Do you have pants on right now?
I do.
Nice.
Thankfully. Yeah, you never know. There's always people who it's just like their name, so you have no idea if they're actually like listening or tuned in.
Oh, like they don't have their video activated?
Yeah, they don't have their video on.
That's like, come on. You could do that much.
Yeah. Well, we got to do what they got to do.
Sure.
But anyway, so speaking of, a lot of the things that I've been doing is like Zoom and virtual web chats or Google Hangout or whatever you want to use. There's a lot of different ways to do that, but I think that the biggest thing is creating those kind of opportunities to gather with your teens virtually.
Mm-hmm.
Give them an opportunity to see each other. Because that's something that I notice has been really uplifting is when somebody kind of logs on. It's the same as when someone would walk into the youth room. Everyone that's already there is so excited that they're there, and then how's everything going, whatever, things like that. Like it was really great. We had one on Thursday. I've been doing them the same times that I do my regular youth ministry. We do them Thursday nights, and we had about 20 to 22 people on.
That's crazy. Is there a limit to how many you can have on Zoom?
Well, I paid for the upgrade for Zoom, so I can have up to 100.
That's crazy. It looks like, can you even see anybody at that point?
We had like 2 pages of people.
And so when somebody talks, are you trying to hunt down who it is, or like?
I don't. I have it like as where I can try to see as many people as possible.
Yeah.
And then kind of govern what's going on. But like, luckily, I have rock star teenagers and young adults involved in our program who, like, when it was time for prayer, I'm like, hey guys, everybody mute your camera and I'm gonna pray for a minute, and everybody did. Everyone was so respectful of each other and not talking over each other. They were just happy to be together.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really have any problem.
That's great. I mean, the rules are being rewritten on, like,
totally
how to do this digitally. Like, this is, we've obviously had this technology for a while, but it's been underutilized, I think. And now we're it's forcing our hand. It's like, how do we make this work? Is it ideal? No, like, we'd love to be in person, but like, how do you make it work with 25 people on a Zoom chat? But like, that sounds beautiful.
Yeah, it's super fun. And of course, like, as youth ministers, like, we do have to cover our bases. Like, I always have another adult in the Zoom chat with me, and I record them just in case anybody says that I said anything, just to be safe. Like, you want to have a file of them recorded. So right. I have mine, but things like that. But still, like, it's an opportunity to share with these young people and be involved in their life, right? I was reflecting today, the gospel we read about today, where the disciples are kind of hiding in their room, right? And they're afraid. And it says that Jesus came, and it specifically says they're inside with the door locked.
Right.
And Jesus still shows up. And that's where we are right now. We are in our rooms. We have to be trapped, but Jesus knows no bounds.
That's right.
Doors and locks don't keep Jesus out. Jesus wants to come into our life and give us the gifts of the Holy Spirit. He wants to bestow upon us the ability to share with each other. So we have to use those no matter where we are. We
were talking last week about, like, how do we navigate this quarantine and this pandemic? There was a beautiful metaphor through Lent that we were dealing with. We're walking through this desert period while this was all going on. We all were hopeful that this would end at Easter time, but now it's like, well, we're in this season of joyfulness in Easter, and there's like a disconnect. But it's very what you said. Like, yeah, we're in this beautiful season of Easter, but we're like the apostles who are hiding because they don't really know what's going on until, like, Jesus came back and came in that locked room and said, "What up? It's all good. Peace be with you. Let's do this." And then he sent him out.
You had something to do.
You got stuff to do. So.
And I think that's what all of us, not just youth ministry, we're talking about, but everybody, like, we have stuff to do.
Yep.
The people of God need to be fed, and it's not just on ministers or people that work for the church. It's on all of us to share with each other.
And when he came back, it was a game changer. Everything was changed from that point on, and I think there's a lot of symmetry in that with what we're going through right now. Like, this is a game-changing moment, and we have a mission to go out when it's safe or go out online and figure out a way to continue to evangelize the message of Jesus.
Amen. Now, a couple game-changer ideas to give to you guys about youth ministry that I've been doing, or things that you can do.
Game-changer number 2.
Yeah. Is one thing I did on a Zoom chat. I actually stole this from a friend of mine, Gabe Rivera, who was on our podcast. We did a scavenger hunt with our teens, but it was like a at-home scavenger hunt. So we just came up with like a list of things that you would find in like a house, and they had to go run in their house and find the thing, and then come back and show it to the camera. And then we like kept track of who had what points and stuff. Okay. It was like little things like coffee cup, toothbrush. We made it fun and did like siblings and pets. That you had, some people like holding their dogs up and things like that, and. It was great. It was super fun, and the teens had a blast. And you're sitting there watching on the little screens, then you say something and everyone just goes, because they all disappear to go find something, and then they all come diving back onto the screen. It was super fun.
That's awesome.
And just getting them involved. And it's funny, too, because you hear, like, parents in the background, like, helping them. They're in the kitchen digging around. Their mom's like, "It's in the top shelf." And but it was awesome. It was awesome. Just something fun to do.
I think there's something about, like, seeing somebody in their own home environment. I don't know. It's like comforting, because sometimes you see people and they're always like on. They're always dressed nice, and they're always like, I don't know. But seeing, like, I was commenting on it. I was just scrolling through Instagram, and Jimmy Fallon was like on. It's just a segment, but they've been doing Jimmy Fallon at home, and it's like janky footage from his phone. He's got his 2 little girls helping him, like, do the same skits that they would do on the show, but just like the home version of it. And it's just something comforting about it. It's like, oh, he's just like a real person, and it's just like,
yeah, he's just like a dude that's also quarantined like the rest of us.
Yeah. So it's kind of levels the playing field, and we're all just like, oh, we're all beautiful human beings. No matter what kind of like social standings you have. Maybe there's like the popular kids in youth ministry, and like people are like, oh my gosh, like they're so pretty, or but like we go home and it's like. Everyone's got parents yelling at them and dogs running around, and it's like, oh, that playing field is leveled, and I don't know. There's something beautiful about it.
Yeah, it was super fun. We were having a blast.
That's cool.
So the other cool thing that we did that's been a reoccurring thing, and we talked about it earlier a couple podcasts ago, is like the challenges on
tip
Instagram.
number 3.
Tip number 3 is that we did the challenges on Instagram. But what we did is I have one of the adults that helps out with our program. She has like a knack for creating like social media posters, and she just made these like beautiful challenges like specific to our ministry that kids could share. It was like, you know, who like shout out, like we did a Friendship Friday where it's like someone who inspires you, someone you miss, someone you learned from, stuff like that, and you like tag people and then they share it, and it just kind of like a web. Right. And then she created we did it today, it was like a bingo. So she made like a bingo board, but all the bingo squares were like different things that pertain to our ministry, like has ever gotten out in dodgeball, has ever gotten up and shared a witness, has ever one of them was like, have you ever been afraid of Danny at any point? And kids are like Xing them out and like playing bingo and seeing how many of them they could do. And it was so awesome, you know, to see them like, you know, be involved with each other on these little things about their church. And it's getting them to post about their faith online.
That's key. Yeah, that's amazing.
Even if they don't realize it. Right? Because and the other beautiful thing is that like why I'm glad that I had someone that like stepped up to do this with me is it's like being the youth minister is great, but the key to youth ministry truly is creating new youth ministers. Right? If it's all about me and everything that I'm doing, I have failed. My job is to create disciples, is to help build people to be able to share the faith on their own.
Amen. Yeah.
And, you know, and seeing the kind of the fruits of that, and then it's like, and then all of a sudden I'm getting texted like, hey, I have this idea, or I have this idea, or I have this idea. And it's like, this is awesome.
Like run with it,
you know?
Do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like do it, create it. Let's do it. And it's awesome to see.
It's those leaders. Yeah. It's, and a lot of youth ministers unfortunately have that other point of view where it is about them. It's their show. And if they're not, you know, if they're not there, they cancel youth ministry. Like if they're out of town or something like that, they're like, oh, no. Youth ministry couldn't thrive if I wasn't there leading the show. And like for them, it's a show, right? And so they're like, I gotta be up in front, I gotta do all the talks, I gotta be leading all the games. It's like, no, that's what you have leaders for. That's what you empower your leaders to step up to the plate, because you are not gonna be around forever. I'm sorry. No, whether you get a new job, whether you get fired, where you move, whatever. But like if you leave for whatever reason and the program crumbles, you failed at your job. So you want to be able to leave at any given point and the program to just continue on like you were never there. Well, like you were there, but like just continue on. Somebody else will step up, and your program will continue to thrive because of what you did.
Exactly. I think the true success of a youth minister you don't determine until they leave.
That's right.
And you see what their ministry was able to do when they kind of had to give up the reins.
That's right.
But anyway, but it's just been super fun to do these little challenges, and I wouldn't have been able to come up with that stuff, but like I had a friend and she was like, hey, I got this. And I'm like, yeah, that is amazing. Like go and do it.
Bonus tip, was this 4 or 5?
This was 3.
Okay, so bonus tip was 4. We already said it on last week's or 2 weeks ago, but in case you guys skipped some podcasts or you're just tuning into us for the first time now.
And how is that possible? How are you skipping?
How are you skipping? Some people maybe are watching in reverse. Some people are just going all over the place. I don't know. I know for a fact, like when I started listening to Word on Fire 2 years ago, I listened from episode 1 all the way through. But then when I listened to, who is it? The Catholic talk show. They're great. I love that show. I listened straight through till about episode, I don't know, 50 or something like that. But then I got really busy and I didn't listen to like 12 or 14 of them. And so now like I literally I pop into a like random one here or there. So I lost like the order of it. So however you're listening, here's your bonus tip. The My Christ activity that you did. Why don't you explain that once more, briefly, in case you've already heard this?
Sure. Yeah. So what My Christ activity is and how you can do it virtually is, or we did it on Zoom as well, is it's just finding and sharing somebody in your life that you feel has been an example of Christ to you. And you post about it on your story. That's what's called the My Christ Challenge. So I would say like, if I said Ryan was my Christ because he's my friend and he helps encourage me and inspire my faith. So Ryan has been my Christ. He's been a Christ to me. He's shown me Christ through his actions.
And then usually when you're there in person, they stand up and they give them a hug and
it's a whole big thing. But online it's cool because it's
give
just
a thumbs up.
I don't really associate with any of that, but it's but online it's been great. And then what we did it on Zoom. People just kind of said unmuted and shared who's been their Christ at this time, so you can do it anywhere. It's just kind of adapting. So it's try to make, as normal as we can our youth group, just different obstacles, different hoops to jump through.
Sometimes you got to put a little bit more effort in. Speaking of that, we talked about it like 4 episodes ago. I was like, I want to do a virtual game night with like a Zoom meeting, and a couple of my friends, I think I posted on my personal page.
I did. Did you pull it off?
But it was crazy. Oh my gosh. Like, this is a very involved game. It usually takes like 2.5 hours to play. Right. When everybody's in person, but I got my buddy on Zoom chat and I started setting up, or I just tried to use the camera from my laptop, and it was not like, you couldn't tell even what the board was going on, right? So I had dug in like some boxes and found like an HD webcam, and I had that like up on like 6 different boxes, so it was looking down on the table, but then like you couldn't see the whole board. There was like other auxiliary boards, so I called in on a different Gmail account to my phone, and I put my phone, it was like on a couple of other boxes in like a Quaker oatmeal like container stacked up on the table, looking down on the other board, and then I had my laptop on the other side of the table so I could see them, and there was all this, and I had to put lights, like studio lights, shining down on the table so they could see more clearly the board. It took about an hour and a half to set up, and then the game took 4 hours because I had to move all of their pieces. Because there was 3 of us, and they would tell me what they wanted to do, and I would have to move all their pieces. But we had a blast, and like it was fun to catch up. So yeah, it took a lot more. But then people online were like, "Bro, there's an online version of that game where you could just have logged in and just done it." I was like, "Oh man!" But you know what? Wow. Sometimes there's a lesson there somewhere. But it was fun. We had a blast.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Yeah, and it's just like trying to do your normal stuff. And that's what we did. We just brought normalcy to it. Like this week, I'm doing a trivia night. We're doing a Kahoot. And it's like an online game show that they play with their phones. Mm-hmm. But what I did is on Instagram, I had everybody put a fun fact about themselves. And then I'm going to put the fun fact on the Kahoot and put a bunch of names from people in the youth group, and they have to try to guess who it is. So it's like kind of get to know you trivia.
Right.
And we're really looking forward to that. That's going to be this Thursday. So it's like...
That's tip number 5.
That's Kahoot. Tip number 5. Use Kahoot. Is just doing different stuff to try to stay involved. Even if it's... Go ahead.
Those are. I was gonna say those are a lot of like fun activities, because usually the way you run youth ministry, and a lot of people do, is like the first half is like fun and games and whatever, and then the second half is like a prayer or a reflection or some sort of like spiritual activity, right? We have to take a break really quick. We're almost there, so why don't we chat some more in just a sec as we take a break.
Okay, so we're talking all about different ways we can reach out to not just young people, but all people, of course. That's kind of been the topic of the last few episodes. But we're talking a lot about my youth ministry ideas, things that I've been doing at my youth group. And so we're talking about that and all the different ways we can do it. But the other big thing, I think, probably the most important thing, is prepping for what you're going to do afterwards.
Sure.
When this is over. Right? Because we all know this is not a forever. We don't know how long it's going to be, but it is not a forever. And I think that we are all, as a church, and as a youth ministry, and as a music ministry, and as everything, are going to have an opportunity to really start some fires in some hearts for people. Because my plan right now is I have actually spent more time planning future youth ministry events. Like, because I do youth ministry weekly. Most times twice a week during the year, because I have a Bible study as well. And I want to make every single one of those nights just a game-changing night, as we've been saying. Yeah. I don't want to phone it in or have it be, business as usual, or whatever, we'll figure it out because sometimes in the summer when it's low-key, you just kind of, everyone shows up and you figure out what you want to do. I want every night to be a awesome, huge event, like a huge deal to make up for the time we lost.
Well, yeah, that's like we were talking about most of the episode, is put in the effort. So, yeah, hopefully we pray that if you're a youth minister that you're not furloughed, that you're still employed and you're getting your hours some way, shape, or form. If you are furloughed, we pray for you that you are financially able to get by during this difficult time.
Absolutely.
But paid or not paid, if as long as you're going to have this job once this reopens, I think use this valuable time. We're never going to have this much free time probably ever again, in our society, in our lifetimes. So like, don't waste this time just like flapping your wings and just floundering about, but like hit the ground and start reinventing the wheel like we were talking about. If you've been just repeating the same thing every single month, week, like yearly cycle of whatever, and you're just like going through the motions, take this time to come up with new ideas, reinvent the program, reinvigorate it, and like plan it out. So what I do for my choir stuff is like, I'll plan out as far as I possibly can all the music for all the masses. Right now I'm through the end of July, and I'm trying to get the whole year planned, because what happens is when I have this time to do that, I can, for one, think more clearly when I'm not rushed through the busyness of my life, all the day-to-day like mundane stuff. I can really dig in and pick those songs with more purpose and meaning. But then what that does is once those are all planned, that's a big part of my week. If I didn't do that, that'd be a huge part of my weekly day-to-day stuff. But like now I can spend extra time on those little things that elevate the choir, that elevate the music. So like the same thing can be done with youth ministry. If you have all your youth ministry nights planned and your confirmation and everything, now what else can you do with that extra time that you have once we're back in it? Because you're not just like, oh shoot, what do we do this Wednesday or Thursday? Let's scramble to put something there. It's like, no, we already know what we're doing. Now how can we make it like that much more special with this time that we have?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Is a chance to kind of re-spark the fire of your faith to evangelize. Because a lot of times, we did this in our Burning Out episode, us as youth ministers can get in a routine where we're just like, it's that time, I do this for my retreat, and then this for confirmation, and this for that, and this for that. It's like, this is your chance to kind of come back a whole new minister with all new cool ideas. What I've been trying to do is I find things that are popular, and I'm like, how can I transform this into something for youth ministry?
Okay.
Currently, I'm in the process, and this is, here's the deal. I'm a human being too, okay? People forget that us ministers are human beings. So, I'm a younger guy in my 20s, so I've been spending a lot of time quarantined playing Call of Duty with my friends, right? But I was sitting there as I'm playing this game. I'm like, holy moly. This style of game that everyone's all fired up about, or like Fortnite was another one of the nights of games that's like this. I thought, how can I create a youth ministry version of this game? And so that's currently what I'm in the works. I'm creating a battle royale for youth ministry.
I'm assuming there's no guns involved.
There's zero guns involved.
All right, so don't write us a letter. There's no guns.
Yeah, there's no guns involved. Yeah, no. It actually gets people to take their thought of they have this negative thing, and then I'm going to try to associate it with a positive.
Cool.
And like, here's the thing. People get so mad at that, like, at youth ministers sometimes. It's like, here's the thing. You have to reach kids where they are. You have to go after them where they are. And sometimes that means you kind of got to get into the negative that you may not love in order to
Call of Duty's fine.
Yeah, that's a video game. But I just mean in general. People are like youth ministers pretend that like teens don't talk about certain things, that they're not invested in certain things, like they close their ears, like they don't know. It's like, don't do that. You have to be willing to engage in conversation if you're going to help pull people out of things.
So what you're saying is if you pretend to live like this puritanical existence that have this false ideology that like when the kids enter into the church, like, oh, we're all perfect, Catholic, holy people, that nobody does anything wrong and nobody's sinning, is like you're good, I'm good. That's doing a disservice rather than helping.
If they look at you like you're this perfect saint, how are they going to relate to you? When I look at them and I go, I'm just as broken as you. I just have learned now to trust God more. And I want to show you how awesome that is to trust him.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't take away my brokenness. It just means that I know I found the fix. I found the restoration. And now I want to help these young people to find that same restoration. Hopefully sooner than I did.
Yeah.
That's all that it is. Any youth minister that walks around like they are above anybody, or I'm getting on a rant here.
Yeah, like they know the answers.
Like they know the answers, and they've never done anything, and they've never struggled. Like, great. That's a surefire way to get kids to run out the door.
Right.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
So, anyway, but it's taking ideas that taking things that are relevant to the teenagers, and incorporating them, and trying to find ways to bring God into them.
Yeah. Great.
You know, so that little things like that. Plan bigger things. Like I'm trying to figure out for the life of me how I can create something for the teens that are missing their prom.
Yeah.
I want to create something for them over the summer that I can.
Well, they're going to miss a lot of things. Let's talk about that in just a sec. But I had another thought. Once we're able to start coming back, it's going to be a slow rollout. So like in all aspects of society, even the way we have to attend church, like we're getting prepared to actually quarter off or rope off every other pew, and even in the pews, like only have half available. Because we're expecting like no more than 50 or 100 people or something like that. So it's going to be difficult to roll out. But same thing with you.
It's going to be tough. You have like security guards at the door. It's like, oh, that's enough people.
With a clicker.
With a clicker. Oh.
Well, so
I would be heartbroken.
We're talking right now to keep ramping up our production value of our live stream, so that if there is a limit and a cap on how many people could come into the church, that the ones that would not be allowed to enter could be out on the lawn or out in the gathering area or in their cars watching the live stream, and then we have some sort of way that we can do communion to them outside. That's just where where our mind's at right now. So that's
awesome.
It's an investment for us to want to learn how to do this live stream better and get a more permanent setup so we can continue to do this for, thinking realistically how things are going to move forward. But my question for youth ministry is like, say you're allowed to do youth ministry again, but it's like, if you would normally get 60 kids, no, we can't do that. You can only allow 10 in or 20. What you would do in those circumstances, or if you were allowed to have all 60, if they have to be like separated throughout the hall, like how could you still incorporate a fun game, but then they're all like 6 feet apart? Just ways to like think forward thinking.
Yeah, the answer to that one is just be creative. There's tons of ways. Because honestly, the first day that before the lockdowns happened, I had youth ministry that week before we had to close it down, and we were still very cognizant of what was going on. So like we didn't do any prayers that involved anybody touching anybody or any games that involved people touching people. So it was just a lot of verbal sharing and a lot of discussion and just games that involved nothing being passed around or anything like that.
Right.
But as far as my answer to that is, and this is not going to be, some people are going to be like, no, we can't. That's unrealistic. But if they were to say, you can only have this many teens at your youth ministry night, I would have youth ministry every single night of the week available. And then I would take a sign up to make sure that okay, that night's full, but now Tuesday's available. And I would do youth ministry every single night until every teen was able to come.
That's amazing.
That's how I would do it, because it's like I couldn't be able to go, hopefully next week, Timmy, you can jump in. There's no way I could do that.
That's what I love about you, my friend, is that you're willing to do that, and you're not going to get paid overtime to do that, but you would be willing to put in that work it's the right thing to do to make sure that they could all be a part of it. Same thing like right now. It was nice when I was still getting paid. I'm salaried, but I didn't have anything to do, and we weren't doing live masses or anything like that. But now that I'm like doing the live masses and filming and editing, I'm working way more than my hours did get cut. But I'm working way more than that. But it's fine. I would prefer doing this rather than just sitting on my butt. Like I felt like God gave me this gift, and I needed to share it, and I needed to help out, and it doesn't matter how many hours I put in, but it's something that needed to be done.
That's the thing is right now, anybody that's tech savvy, that's involved with that knows things, knowledgeable about live streaming or editing or virtual stuff, now is your time. The church needs you.
Yeah.
If you have talent and ability and the means in which to help, reach out to your churches.
And this
need you.
This is a huge moment for this church, because so many pastors, they're like, okay, yeah, we do see the value of this social media thing after all. And now how do I get involved on this Facebook thing? But like, who's helping them out is people like you and me and the younger generation even further, which is these confirmation kids and these youth ministry kids that we're talking about. So this is an opportunity for them to step up to the plate and say, and we always said, you guys are the church of tomorrow or whatever. And like a lot of us go, we're the church of today. And it's like, you are the church of today because this is your time to step up to the challenge and make this church of social media like come to fruition in its fullest.
Yeah, absolutely. Because now is the there's so many. Most of the people that I know regionally, at least we're in the Santa Barbara area where I'm at. Most of the people that have had to step up and help churches with the live stream have been in the youth ministry circle.
Absolutely.
Because those are the people that know what's going on. Yeah. And like I we've talked about it before. I was the one that went to our pastor and I said like, hey, this needs to happen, and I want to help. And he goes, okay, I need lectors. Boom, teens. So it's like every mass, it's me and 2 teens that are putting it on, and the pastor.
Great.
It's making it happen, and it's because mostly because I want to help. I want there to be a church for me to come back to, for people to come back to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, step up. Now's the time. All the people that are saying, social media gets away from the church. Like, no, they were wrong. Now's the time. The church needs you.
That's right. Okay, you were talking about it before, the kids missing prom, but I think there's an even more important thing that a lot of kids are missing, especially we're talking about youth ministry and confirmation, and they're going to miss they're missing their confirmation. Well, it's getting postponed, but that's a huge deal. It's a huge day for their faith lives, and a lot of, same thing with on Easter Vigil, everyone missed their baptism, their confirmation, their and that's rough, but
and we have to remember that it's not canceled; it's postponed for confirmation.
That's right.
Praise God. But I made the joke to a couple of my teenagers that the gospel reflection I made today. I said, well, when Jesus came and gave the Holy Spirit, he did a home delivery. He showed up and was like, "There you go. Here's the Holy Spirit." I'm like, so maybe pray for that. Pray that God will enter into your home through your locked door and give you the Holy Spirit. You don't need to come to the church with the bishop to give you the oil.
That's so funny.
Just, it's a little joke. But, and I have no idea. I have a couple theories or like ways that I would do it if I was in charge. But
let's hear it. This is literally nobody has any idea right now. So like, whatever you got, let's share it because couldn't hurt.
What I think is best, what I would do is because large gatherings and I think the biggest reason why confirmations will keep getting pushed back even before masses do is because it's a lot of extra people.
The churches are packed
because there's confirmation classes are big, families are coming out because it's a sacrament, stuff like that. So how I would do it is you're going to have a shortage of bishops doing stuff, right? And if we're still worried about the older folk, a lot of the bishops or retired bishops that do these confirmations are older, and maybe they're the ones who we're trying to protect. So my thought is what you do is if you want to limit the amount of people is have like month-long confirmations in the summer where you pick like 3 Sundays at your regular scheduled masses and you split up your confirmation classes and you have the bishops, if they can, make it great for some. If not, have them give dispensation to the pastors and have the pastors do the sacrament because that can happen in certain instances.
Yeah.
And it happens at vigils all the time. But have the pastors break it up and do it that way because then you can get the kids confirmed or the young people or whoever's getting confirmed, get them confirmed and maintain the safety of the distancing if that need be.
I think that's a decent solution because I hadn't really thought about it before this very moment, but I was like, what would a possible solution be? And it's like you could do where it's literally just the kids and they go in and they get a quick confirmation, but then they have a separate mass with all the family members and stuff like that. I think your solution's way better.
I think because you need the mass,
There will be well, I mean, yeah, it would be a mass, but a very, just a mass with like the bishop and just the
And the
confirmande.
confirmation.
But like, and that's if they didn't want to do dispensations. But I think the reality is we're gonna have to do dispensations for the pastors to be able to give these confirmations, because you're gonna have to break it up into smaller groups. There's no way.
I think so. I just think that's the safest, smartest way to get these things to happen. Because I was joking, I work with my mom as she's the confirmation coordinator and I do youth ministry. We're a team. And I was joking that maybe by the fall, if this keeps getting pushed back, next year in fall, we'll have 3 years of confirmation.
Right?
Because we'll have the year 1, the year 2, and then the old year that haven't been confirmed yet that we have to deal with.
Yeah, and it's rough because, if this gets pushed back, I mean, to fall, the reality is that there's a lot of schedules. There's a lot of things that happen during summer and happen like, July, August, September, that those things might get pushed back. And it's like, okay, now you can do all the things that were pushed back. But it's like, we just pushed back 5-6 months of things. We can't fit them all into this time slot.
Absolutely. And that's the thing is, and my goal this summer is to, because my summer is, both of us especially have become a lot more free over the summer. We can tell everybody now we had the opportunity. We were going to go out to Arkansas and do a couple days retreat out there. We were so excited. But due to the situation, we have to reschedule that trip, but we're hoping to make it out there again, make it out there soon. And, but like we had that, we had multiple weekends, retreats where he lives in Santiago that he was going to do. I had all the regional stuff here in the diocese that I'm involved with. We had tons of awesome retreats to do this summer.
It was going to be 7 weeks of camps for me over 2 months.
Yeah. Like that's crazy.
But
yeah, I had 3 weeks of camps, and then what we had a week in Arkansas. So we were supposed to be all over the place, but
right now I still have three of those camps from Santiago are still tentatively not canceled, but it's it's not looking good probably.
Right. Yeah. So, but it's just like all this stuff. So my goal this summer is to just, hopefully, God willing, to do the best I can with what I've got. I think that should be everybody's goal. Is we got to bring the faith the best we can.
That's
it. And deal with it as it comes. However confirmations have to be, or however first communions have to be, make them important. Everything is reflective on attitude. If you sit back and you act how bummed out you are that it's not the way you wanted it to be, or it's not the way you always dreamed of, like, there's people who had to change their whole wedding plans. So, like, my heart goes out to those people. And, like, so we have to just make the most, and that's, like, I'll say my brother and his fiance, so they're getting married in July.
Right.
Ryan and I are both in the wedding, and I can already hear them starting to like have to prepare for alterations, right, to their plan. Like in his bachelor party, we were all supposed to go to Vegas, and that had to get canceled. So, but my brother has maintained such optimism. He's just like, well, what am I gonna do? He goes, I still get to marry the love of my life, so what do I have to complain about?
That's right.
And I'm like, that's amazing. I think we should try to have that outlook with everything we do. I don't get to go to Mass. But you know what? At least I get to watch Mass. At least Mass is around. It's available to me in some way, shape, and form.
That's right.
And so, when confirmation inevitably comes back, I don't get to have confirmation if it doesn't happen in the same way with the bishop and everything. At least you get to have confirmation. We're going to take a lot of little things never for granted again. Because of all this, we're gonna hold so dearly to the blessings that we have. We're gonna appreciate so much the little things that maybe we didn't before. I think that even the simple things of being able to hug your friends, we're gonna hold so dear to us.
And like you look at it this way, maybe those people that get confirmed in like a weird, different way, they'll remember that way more.
Absolutely.
And they'll appreciate it way more than somebody who just was like a regular. Like, I barely remember my confirmation. It meant like nothing to me back then.
It'll be like 4 years from now. I'll be like, remember that year of COVID where no confirmations didn't have.
And they're like, yeah. And they're like, it was amazing when I finally got to come back. And maybe some of these kids that were like just kind of going through the motions, maybe they're this time away and like not being able to do it is helping them come to the faith further. Who knows? Who knows how Christ is working in this? Yeah,
and we're probably gonna we're gonna do an episode when things start to open up, just kind of what the future of the church looks like. We've been talking about that. We're hoping to get a priest on here for that. But because I was a little insider info, I think there's gonna be churches, I don't know about mine, but churches for sure, confirmation youth ministry programs, whose retreats for next year may be altered. Maybe you won't be able to go away to retreat. Maybe you'll have to stay local if because all churches are suffering financially.
Right.
Families are suffering financially. So a lot of things about parish life are going to change for people.
It's going to be crazy. Let's not dive too much into that because we want to save that for a full episode, but it's going to be wild. It's going to be wild.
So the main point that I want to make, we've been all over the place as we do on this show. Welcome to Two Catholic Dudes. Where
that's our style.
We have a topic and then we go all over the rails. But the main point, back to what I'm saying, is when it comes to the young people, all people, but we're talking about young people, the best thing you can do is be present. Reach out. Do anything. Give them any effort. Pick up the phone. Hey, how are you? Send a text. Set up a Zoom call, even if you have nothing to talk about. Let God direct that conversation. Just bring them in. Reconnect with them. See them. Work with them. Don't let them know that you care and that you're there for them. That is what youth ministry is about. Is being an example of Christ to these young people and helping to them to then go out and be further examples of Christ to the world. So that's as simple as showing that you care. That's simple.
You guys heard it. You heard it best from a professional youth minister here. Nicely done.
Thanks, man.
So that's it. That's it for the day. I just want to say that beard's looking pretty good on you. Got
Thanks,
a good,
I'm
good
excited.
quarantine beard.
Well, my family, the boys, I have my two brothers and my dad. We're all growing our beards so we can take a quarantine beard photo.
Nice.
So I'm trying to have the thickness race.
Yeah, I like.
You got a mustache. Yours is.
I like your
in.
texture, but yeah, mine is. I got like a homeless kind of look happening with my hair too.
I know, that's why I'm wearing hats, because my hair. I haven't gotten a haircut. I usually get a haircut every 2 weeks, and I haven't gotten one in a month. So.
I know mine. This has been like 2.5 years.
Yeah, I'm like, get out of here, bro. Yeah, my hair is long.
But I am doing this beard for the whole time, and it's getting pretty gnarly.
Nice.
Send us your quarantine beard photos. I don't know. We want to engage with you guys. So however you guys want to engage, we are open. Send us your comments, your likes, your questions. If you'd like to get a mug from us, what's the update on that?
The update on that is the website in which I buy the mugs from that prints them is backed up until the middle of May.
So coming soon still.
Coming soon?
Much sooner. You guys have seen the actual mug, so we're working on it. But if you guys want to follow us, again, _Two Catholic Dudes on Instagram. Find us on Facebook. We post some stuff on there. And patreon.com/Two Catholic Dudes if you feel like you want to support us financially. We very, very much appreciate all of your generous support. We love you guys. We can't thank you enough. And we will send those mugs to the people who have been supporting us through all these months.
If you are a Patreon member, you are getting a mug for free.
Yeah, so it's back pay for you guys.
As soon as we get them, I'm working on it, but I nevertheless, you will be getting a mug sent to you. All of you that follow us on Patreon on any level, if you've been a patron, you're getting a mug.
Yeah, you guys are fantastic. So again, we're gonna be back together in the studio very soon because we've been both quarantining pretty. Vigorously, sure. So I think we're probably safe to at least see each other. So hopefully we'll have some in-time person-to-person studio time for one of the podcasts coming up. So, but until then, I hope you guys are staying safe, staying healthy. We will continue to pray for all of you guys, pray for the church, and we ask that you pray for us during this time as well. And we're going to get through this. This is going to be great. God's going to work in this, and he's going to do amazing, amazing things.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. We'll see you all real soon, and happy Easter. We're still in Easter.
Happy Easter. All right. Peace.